Hello and welcome to Laurence Plays for the next video in my series where I interview the creators of some of the mods we've been using in the Planetary Pioneers series. Today I shall be talking to Egorex, the brain behind Igrys, the planet of magic. Hello!
Hello, I'm Egorex. I made Igrys, as you already said, and you can also call me Victor, because that's my real name.
Alright, so the first question is so how did you get into the whole Factorio and modding and so on? Because it's always a nice place to start.
I'll try to make it quick, because I could talk about it. Basically, I've been into game dev for a while now. Like, I always just wanted to make experiences, games, even board games I liked. And so I've made a couple of games, and then I was also in the middle of playthrough of Factorio Space Sage, you know, so you can see where this is going. I was like, what if I could make an interesting, unique take on Factorio? And that's when I just started toying with it. Wasn't sure if I was gonna make a mod at that point, because I've tried modding different games and haven't really finished anything by that point yet, but Factorio turned out has a great modding SDK and documentation support, so I've managed to make something working and released it. That's that.
So that sort of brings on the next question quite nicely, which is why Igrys as it is? What gave you the inspiration for the planet of magic and crystals and strange liquids and so on?
Well, actually, nothing. I was just like, I need to name my resources somehow, and I was like, let's go with magic as of now, and it stayed that way.
It was more intended as a you had some sort of resources that were coming together, and you thought that to give them a theme, you'd give them magical names rather than it sort of being the other way around, where you perhaps had an idea for a magical theme and then just tried to make things that would work with that.
Yeah, because it like never was meant to be released. It just when I played through it and I saw it was working, I was like, why not?
Yeah, so it was a sort of a fun personal project that sort of expanded beyond expectations,
exactly.
and you thought you wanted to show the world. Okay, I know how that goes. So I guess that's the other side of that then. If the theming sort of came about almost by accident, was there anything that you were sort of aiming for with the feel of it? Like it's a sort of the export from this planet is things that make science easier for other planets rather than necessarily its own technologies to a large extent.
I wanted to make something unique. You know, I didn't want to just add more recipes, complicated ones. I wanted to try to have a twist, some kind of, you know, like with the glass. Yeah, I was like, what if I would turn the notch up to 300 stone? Yeah, that's right, 300 stone, and give you 50 magic glass and 50 stone in return. You know?
Yeah, because that does give a slightly different challenge, because you've got have to worry about sort of the fact that machines will suddenly dump out enormous quantities of supplies, some of which need to be looped back around. That did give us some problems.
Yeah, that was the point.
Yeah, of course, yes.
To give you some problems that you need to overcome in a different way than usually.
We reckoned, I think all of us in our group reckon the most interesting thing we've seen on this planet by a significant margin is the whole Cermite production system over here, with the where you produce the raw Cermite and then you turn it into you turn it into Cermite. That takes 5 hours to spoil and into the Cermite, whereas the raw stuff only takes a relatively short time. And this is one of the things I've said a few times in the videos, is it's so interesting to see how many different ways the spoilage mechanic has been used. So is this I guess how did this idea come about, and have we solved it roughly the way you'd expect people to?
I was expecting them to put the stuff in a chest, you know, just let it spoil for 5 hours.
Okay, so age it like whiskey.
So like on my own playthrough, I just made a nearly 2 minutes long belt and just run it there. I did not expect anyone to use combinators, actually.
Okay, so but you did expect it to be sort of to spoil the Cermite as much as possible before turning it into the Cermite.
Well, it was the intended solution.
Right. Okay. Yeah, we did think of that, and then so rather than, I suppose the alternative is just to make all of the stuff up all the way up to the raw Cermite stage and then leave it in boxes for 5 hours. But then you'd have to go off and do another planet while you're waiting, probably.
Yeah, but you know, I figured also that if someone were to just let them spoil for 5 hours, that would also be an interesting challenge, because you'd need to store all of that somewhere.
Yes.
You know? Like having like 50 chests in your factory, that would be also an interesting sight.
Yes, as long as you got it through, sort of managed to keep it more or less in freshness order, which you obviously could with the freshness options on the spoil priority options on the
Yeah, yeah,
inserters.
that's
Yeah,
right.
you could come up with something that would work reasonably well with that. And it was. I think we've had a little bit of it that has spoiled the long way, but most of it, yeah, we wanted to do it a little bit more efficiently. So your sort of initial expect. I guess this comes down to the sort of the what have there been other things where you've seen people do strange things with your planet that you didn't expect. So using timer combinators to keep an eye on the Cermite spoiling is one thing. Have you seen any other sort of random things that either that we've done or that anyone else has done that's been a bit unexpected?
I think that's a bit on me, but I never thought that you could use the science enhancer to make the purple science you need for mineral science more efficiently. I don't know why I haven't come up with that, but actually I've copied it to my own base after I've seen it on your video.
Yeah, I think these are some of the first machines we use. We probably did the mineral science down here first with them, but then we thought, well, we've got these machines on this planet and a plentiful supply of the magic fluid. Why not? So, but yeah, it's funny the things you can overlook when you're designing something, and then someone points it out,
Yeah,
and you go,
exactly.
oh yeah, of course.
Like initially, I believe I also had an alternative. Yeah, I had an alternative recipe for a purple science that did not require electric furnace, because I thought that to make that you need iron, which is not available on that planet. But somebody proved me wrong in the comments. Like proved me wrong, pointed out that out, and
Yes.
then I had to change it.
So it's just steel, which is nice and easy to obtain over here, and then the stone
Yeah,
bricks, of course, and the red circuits, which again are
yeah.
manageable
So
once you've got the
you
weird
can
plastic
make,
production.
yeah.
What sort of part of this are you most pleased with, or do you think works really nicely that you're really happy with?
As mentioned, I really like the Cermite whole process, and also the fact that the raw bricks, I think the raw Cermite,
Oh yes.
that stuff that spoils into, yeah, here you have it. I think it's also quite nice because you have to put some of it to process it into Cermite, but the rest of it you want it to spoil, so you can also have those steel plates. Yeah.
Yeah, we've
So
sort of done that as completely separate builds over here. We've got this area is literally just making steel through a slightly convoluted process. Yeah, there's a lot of very different recipes on here. So things like making green circuits from the magic glass, making steel from bricks, making and so on. Which it feels weird, but then when you call it a planet of magic, you can get away with absolutely anything, which is really quite nice.
yeah, that's why I stuck with the theme magic. Even though I've seen some comments that it does not really fit, or they don't. Some people don't see the magic in here. I don't know what better theme I can come up with, and I'm not sure if I really want to. So I'm stuck with it. I've stuck
No,
with it.
that's fair. I sort of know what they mean, and it does feel a lot of the things they feel like sort of slightly weird mechanical processes, albeit slightly weird ones.
Well, for me, the interesting design gameplay went first before any thematic, like, or realistic processes. You know?
Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, the mechanics of how it plays is the most important part. The theming
Yeah.
is just to give you something to think about. But then magic is quite a good one because it means you can just hand wave anything and say, it's just magic.
Well, going back to the previous question, I also liked how the copper machines turned out.
Oh yeah,
Because
just
they
producing
also
copper out of
another
thin
interesting.
air.
Yeah.
Yeah, having them only produce copper at night was an interesting twist. Yeah, I found that one.
Yeah. I came with that up actually after releasing the mod and
Okay.
made a change.
I think in the long run it sort of doesn't matter because you just put in twice as much and have it run half the time. But as you're putting it together, it feels interesting and it is different.
Well,
That's
you
quite nice.
still need to put those accumulators, yeah.
Yeah, good point. Yes, because it has the high power consumption at night and the low power consumption during the day. Speaking of which, speaking of power, is the way we've put it together more or less what you'd expect? So we've gone for the large solar field and then massive banks of accumulators to keep everything running. Is that the expected way to produce power on this planet?
Well, there's not really a single expected way because I decided I want to leave the power production up to the player. Like I myself imported nuclear power, but yeah, I also expected a lot of people will just use solar, but that's fine. That's just not everything about the planet needs to be unique.
Yeah, I guess the problem with nuclear power, well, the problem with nuclear power and anything that uses steam is that there isn't really a good water supply on the planet. So it'd be like trying to use nuclear on Vulcanus. You don't really want to waste all of that water. I mean, yes, okay, there's 3.6 million of it here, but we didn't really want to. We don't. When it's not an infinite resource, we didn't really want to burn through it too quickly.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, the next Igrys related one is we noted the hard stone that has the absolutely ludicrous mining time that comes with it. So we've got this huge mining area that we've set up with speed and product and efficiency modules. Was this just another thing that you thought would be interesting and fun, or was there some sort of I don't want to say deep and sadistic reason you made it so slow, but it's again.
I
It's
mean,
an interesting thing.
it's a follow-up on the glass, because when I was like 300 stone for glass, I was like, well, if glass is like needs a lot, then why don't I also just make the player place a lot of miners and then also have like very big patches of stone, you know? It was just meant to be another like something a bit different, you know? It's not that unique, but you don't have that big. I mean, it doesn't change the gameplay that much, but I don't think you have any other planet where you have patches so big.
Yeah, 10 billion near the landing point is certainly a very big patch. As you say, it makes things a bit different, and I think that's one of the things that's nice about the mods is they all feel so very different, and so these sort of things are important.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you feel that what you've produced here feels roughly like what you were expecting to try and make? Well, when you started making the mod, has it followed the expected path, or have you found that your ideas have changed a lot as you've been going through the build process?
Well, I didn't have much like set in stone when starting the process, but I certainly, after the release of that mod, I was made aware that it's a bit short and not really, there's not much that stuff in here. So that's when I, tried to make it a bit more unique and add a bit more. That's when the whole Cermite process wasn't there in the beginning.
Right, okay, yeah, I can see how it'd be a bit short without that, yes.
Yeah, and also the magic copper plate machines, they worked always. These are the main two expansions that I've done. Also, I did not expect the mod. I need to shout out Kane and P. I'm not sure how to read that, but this guy he was on Discord, messaged me, and he was like, I think your mod could use some nice models and better graphics, because in the beginning it was just AI art.
Right, okay.
I'm not an artist, and he made all those gorgeous science machines and copper machines.
Yeah,
and
they
also
do look good.
The extractor. Yeah, they look good. Exactly, they look so good.
Yeah, we did notice actually that after we'd done Igrys, I think we did some updates fairly recently. We noticed that so there's been a couple of updates we spotted. One was the little crystals in the hard stone.
Yeah, he also recently contacted me about that, and I'm not sure. He's just, I guess, engaged also in that mod because he figured that the base stone patches don't look magic and so interesting, so
Yes.
he made it those for me.
Yeah, it looks nice. I think it makes it look different from anything else, and it sort of helps follow the theme. And we also noticed that the edges of the rivers have been softened up a little bit, should we say, from the
because I was struggling with tile transitions, and again, Factorio modding community and community in general is also very great. Like, someone just posted a solution to that tile transition problem for me, or when there are bug fixes. I've got already 12 PR pull requests. It's when someone makes a fix and just sends it to me, and I just can, with a press of a button, insert it into a mod. It's also great that people do that.
Yeah, that's really nice. And I've gathered there seems to be an excellent sort of community and team spirit in Factorio world,
exactly.
in modding. And I've also actually read in the Friday Factorio facts about all the issues that Wooby and Irondell in the space exploration blog post have had with transitions between different types of terrain. So I'm not surprised that was an area that was a challenge, should we say. But it looks a lot better now, and has the even if some of the I don't know, has the generation been tweaked as well at all, or are these sort of really long rivers that just cut straight across the landscape like this. Still what we'd see if we went out to Igrys initially again.
Well, they're still part of the generation, yeah, it hasn't changed. It wasn't. Oh, that's also another big change I made. I think it was Kane and B who inspired me to try to make something different with level generation. I could have done more, but I thought, like, again, something that hasn't been seen before on any other planet. Just these long stretches of oil.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it does effectively cut us off from the rest of the planet. So we've all our building has been done on the south of this river. Now we haven't needed to expand out all that far, but it has meant that we've got, if we do expand, it has to be to the south because while we can fly over these rivers, I don't think we've got any way to get resources across them at the moment.
Well, you'd have to. I think foundations work on them.
Okay, I don't think we've got foundations yet. We're still fairly early on in the run through.
And even if you would, they are expensive.
Yes, exactly. So maybe you could put a very thin layer, row across for a single belt or something like that, but wouldn't want to do much more.
Yeah, exactly. Also, another thing I had a lot of issues with is the science enhancer compatibility with other mods. I'm not sure actually if I've approached it the good way in the beginning, like from the coding side, you know? But,
yeah, I have to admit, this isn't something I know about, but we've started trying to use the science enhancer machines on other planets, so if I look at Corundum, I imagine has probably
it
got...
does work?
Oh, no, this is a weird one. It's being done in the chemical plants. Never mind. We have gone to Vulcanus and Fulgora, but of course they're not modded.
Yeah, they work, yeah.
Luna, maybe. No, that's also using assembly machines. So it probably shouldn't be, but it is.
Well, I'm not sure even when you updated the mod, because recently it wasn't working with anything besides base game.
It does sound like, yes, it may have to be done a little bit manually for all the different mods. Is this something you're sort of keen to do, though, to have it work as much as possible with all of the different planet mods out there?
Well, I would like to if it were that easy, you know?
Yeah.
Even there was recently something that broke, and it was just because another mod changed something. You know, I hadn't changed anything, and it's not that it stopped working with that science pack. It crashed the whole game for all of people.
Oof.
You know.
Right. That's the interesting thing about playing. What we're doing at the moment is playing an enormous pile of mods that are made by different people that we've pulled together and are just sort of hoping for the best. Whereas our previous big run through was space exploration, which of course is all done by one person, so we've a much higher compatibility chance. But it does mean you occasionally get some weird emergent gameplay issues. Or, like, for example, one of the things I wanted to ask you about is whether you thought about how it combines with Cubium, because as you can see here on Fulgora, we're using the Igrian science enhancer machines along with the Cubium recipe, which means instead of having a productivity of 150%, we've functionally got a productivity of about 700 or 800%, which is ridiculously high. But
you know, I was actually also made aware of that by your playthrough.
Okay. Oh, good.
So,
We've told people about new things again.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's interesting emergent gameplay.
Exactly.
Maybe it's too broken, but I mean, it's not a multiplayer game, so it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, and balance is just what we choose, how we choose to play it. We've made a few rules, like on Norvis, Mark decided arbitrarily that we weren't allowed to we make cube jelly over there. We're only allowed to use the cubes for the science enhancer machine, so we're having to import the concentrated dream stuff, which is a bit of an effort. But over here on Fulgora, we're just making it on site, which means yes, we have the 150% productivity bonus here, and then we have I think it's 4 times as much because you put in the same ingredients and get 4 times as much stuff out. So those combine together, so you get about 800% productivity.
Yeah, but you know, that's also great about planets, because it's a nice way for each modder to make his own like little playthrough, you know, little experience isolated, but it can also work with others on like a multi-planet playthrough.
Yeah, and the other nice thing about it is you approach the productivity bonus for science in different ways, so they're compatible. Whereas if you both just produced a science enhancer machine or an alternative recipe, then we probably wouldn't have been able to use both together. Right. But in this case, we could.
Because mine is just a different building and his is a different recipe, so they can work together. Yeah, that's
exactly.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah, the only downside of this is it made Fulgora very, very easy, because we can get a ludicrous amount of science per minute coming out with a relatively small amount of scrap coming in. It has thrown off the balance for Fulgora, but on the flip side, it has given us an interesting thing to play with, and I suppose we can compensate by telling Mike we have to produce 10 times as much science.
Well, always if you felt like expanding Fulgora, you could do that, you know? You could just constrain yourself from using those enhancers.
Yes, absolutely. As I say, we've made a few arbitrary rules like that. Like
Like you said.
Like we said, we can't use the cubium recipes for making iron and copper anywhere other than cubium, because it's just producing free resources. Only Vulcanus is allowed to do that. And even then, you don't really ship it. You can't ship it out in the same way that you could with cubium. Let's take a break there before this video gets too long. Thank you for watching. I hope you found our musings interesting. If you'd like to give Igrys a try yourself, there's a link to the mod page in the video description, along with some to Egorex's other work and inspirations. We'll be back to play some more Planetary Pioneers on Monday at 7:30 PM UK time, and I'll be playing Foundry on Wednesday at 8 PM. Videos will be coming out every Thursday and Friday, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss out on any of those. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.